and welcome to the Jayman Show on the WBCA 102.9 FM, Boston's local community radio station, best station in the world. I'm your host, Jaiye Bynoe, and my guest today is actress Katherine Norland from the Dhar Mann episodes. Hey, Katherine, welcome to the show today. Good to see you.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's so good to meet you on the show, having the show. So I guess my question to you is what made you want to get started in acting?
If I really look back and analyze, I think I always kind of had that show thing in me. From a very young age, I can remember always wanting to play dress up, and my mom would have friends over and I would like put on shows for them and choreograph lip sync and dances, and I was always just like putting on a show, entering like school talent shows, and I think that's just how I was designed, or how I was made to just entertain people. I don't know. It's just always been in me.
Yeah, because you definitely entertained me on the Dhar Mann episodes, and and I'm like, wow, this is a lot of action on, like you're gonna go far. Yeah. So, and I love your show, Dhar Mann, So how'd you get? So I guess my next question is, how did you get to meet Dhar Mann? How'd you get the part on the Dhar Mann series?
Well, before I even knew it was a series, an acquaintance of mine, Ricky, you may know her from the show. She was on it and she did an episode and she posted it and I saw it and I was complimenting her on her acting job she did in it. And they just happened to be looking for someone my type and my age. And she's actually the one that got me the audition.
Wow. That's wonderful. And what's it like to work with Dhar Mann? I hear he's very nice and not down to earth, I love to meet him,
Yeah. Oh, he's very down to earth. He's very kind and considerate. And I think he's always looking out for others. And it's been a positive experience every time I've been there.
Okay. And so are you working on any other films or any movies coming out this year?
Yeah. I have a film that's been on the film festival circuit all this year. I was one of the supporting characters, and it's called The Sins. And Sins stands for Seminole Indian Negro Scouts. So this was a period in history where they had these scouts that were kind of like what an Army Ranger would be of sorts. And they were primarily made up of Indians and Negroes at the time. And I don't know all the history of it, but I played a role in it as a racist person. So, but it's won like awards at, gosh, I think like 30 some different film festivals. It's a Western, and it's so many doors have been opened for the filmmakers on this, and they have asked me to come on board with them to do their next project as well. So that'll be the third film I've done for filmmaker Lovey Ray Johnson. I also did his film, The Protege Project, which has won many awards as well. And earlier this year, I had a film called The Light Dares to Desert Me, and the Gibbous Edge Film Group put that together. And I won the BOM Award, the Actors Excellence Award, given to me by the founder of the Las Vegas Black Film Festival. So that was my first ever award I've ever won for acting. And I've been nominated before, but it was the first time I won. So that was a big honor. And coming out, well, let me tell you, last year, I finally got distribution for my film, Cannibal Corpse Killers.
Wow.
So this is a fun zombie movie. I know Halloween's coming up, so this is available a lot of places: Google Play, Tubi, iTunes, Redbox, Amazon Prime, Xbox, PlayStation, YouTube, lots of direct streaming platforms, and Fandango now. And I played this. Takes place in the post-apocalypse, where demons, a portal from hell has been opened up, and demons are reanimating corpses, and they're coming to life, and they're eating people just to keep their corpses going. So it's kind of like a spiritual battle between good and evil. And I play one of the lead roles, and I've got lots of cool fight scenes in it. So it's a cool movie to check out.
Oh, great. I can't wait to see it. It sounds like a very exciting movie. Yeah. Yeah. Well, based on all of his success, that's wonderful to hear you going forward in life, doing things that makes you happy. That's wonderful. So what inspires you to do what you do? What gives you inspiration?
What gives me inspiration? It inspires me when I see that the work I put out makes a difference, that when people like send me comments, or, I mean, not that I thrive, not that I wouldn't do what I'm doing without the comments, because I've been doing my best to inspire people for years, even before social media was a big thing. I've got 3 books out that I've written, and when I have people email me and say, I would have killed myself if I hadn't read your book, or, you saved my life. And I already had a purpose, but remembering those comments on days when I'm feeling like, oh, I don't feel like doing my work, it's too hard, or I want to take a day off. I just remember, someone needs that message I have inside. And same for you. Someone needs that special message that you have inside you. And they need to, know that you're there for them. They need to know what you've experienced. They need to hear the positive messages. And just doing that, it helps you keep going when you feel like, am I even making a difference? When you're not even sure that what you're doing is paying off. It's that little just extra push to keep going on days when it feels difficult.
Wow. So what advice can you give aspiring actors like myself that want to be an actor or a singer? What advice can you give us, that want to be the next Katherine Norland?
Okay. Well, I did just make a video. It's just 2 days ago on my YouTube channel called How to Start an Acting Career. So that'll give you the tips on how to begin if you're just brand new and you don't know where to start. But other than that, main advice I would tell you is don't get discouraged by the no's. You're not going to book every job you go out for. I mean, that's just statistics. So just realize it's a numbers game. So you may go to a bunch of auditions. You may realize, gosh, I book 1 out of every 10 auditions, or I book 1 out of every 7. And then when you get better, you may book 1 out of every 5 auditions. So when you get no, or they don't call you, or they don't pick you, just realize it's a numbers game. And every no you get, actually, it's a good thing, because it leads you closer to a yes. If you look at it like a numbers game and you book 1 out of 5, if you just got 4 no's in a row, you can start getting pretty excited that the next thing you go out for, you might just book. Yeah. So don't think of it as, oh, I'm no good, people don't like me, I don't have any talent. However, the other side to that is, if you keep going out and you're not booking anything, you may need to brush up on your acting skills. So it's kind of a balance of, do I need to take more classes? Do I need to learn what I'm doing better? Or do I just need to develop thick skin, take nothing personal, realize it's not about me? Maybe I just wasn't right for that role. And there's so many times where I've not booked something and I was like, man, I thought I did really good at that audition. What happened? And it's interesting, the feedback you get. Sometimes they don't book you because you remind them of somebody they don't like, or they didn't want to see your face on set because you look too similar to their ex-girlfriend, or maybe they already cast 3 white people, and so I didn't get the role because they wanted somebody of color. There's so many reasons that have nothing to do with your acting talent. A lot of times I'll say, whatever happened to that film? And they say, oh, the funding fell through, we never even got it made. So there's so many reasons you don't book a role. So don't beat yourself up and don't feel bad about it. And if you love it, you just realize that's part of the game. And there's stuff you can do on your own that doesn't require, having to be beholden to somebody else to give you acting parts. You know, everyone's got like a 4K camera in their pocket now on their cell phones. We can start filming our own stuff, making our own projects, putting it out on YouTube, getting feedback, and just create. And when you create and when you play it back and you're watching yourself, you can get feedback from someone and say, hey, what did you think about that? Did you believe that moment? Did my tears look real or did they look fake? You know, and you can just start kind of doing it yourself until you're getting better and better. So when you go out for auditions, you've got more experience and you've booked more projects because you're putting in the work yourself. And my advice also is don't just sit by the phone and wait for your agent to call you or email you. Start doing your own stuff, creating your own work, because you'll get really sad and disillusioned because sometimes as an actor, unless you're super famous, months may go by before there's an audition. So you got to keep doing stuff yourself to keep your chops up, to keep you energized, and to keep your creativity going.
That's very true. Yes. That's why I support a good education, a college education. You know, so you have some far background like I did. You know, I went to school to my college education. So
okay.
I think that's good to have, you know, yeah.
Yeah, good.
Oh, okay. So how did the pandemic affect your acting career, everything being shut down? Was it a little tough for you to find work with the pandemic?
So I know it affected tons of actors and singers and musicians, and the work really dried up. For me, as far as the acting went, I didn't mind taking a little break. It gave me some time to reevaluate. And last year, my youngest son had just turned 2, and it just gave me more time at home to spend with my family because I was running around so much. I was shooting multiple days a week, and I was just always gone. And I was just kind of in this kind of like a hamster on a wheel was the cycle I was in, just going to this audition and this meeting and this networking thing and this rehearsal. And it just, I actually liked the downtime. And during the downtime is when I was able to rewrite this book, the second edition. And I love poetry. So, you know, taking a few months off to do some writing was really cathartic for me. And I appreciated the shutdown for the fact that I now had time to think about what I was doing and where I was spending my time. And I came out of it realizing there's a lot of stuff that I had been doing that my heart's not in it. I was doing certain shows and involved with certain projects because I thought it would lead to other things, bigger things that would be more fulfilling. But I realized once we opened back up and these things were available, I didn't want to do them anymore. The stuff I had been spending sometimes 2 or 3 nights a week, spending my time on, I didn't even want to do anymore. So I appreciated it for the downtime to have clarity to decide what really is important to me. And we never know how long this life is, or, you know, when things are going to open up or shut down. We've all kind of been on edge, not knowing, is this safe? Is this not safe? So with the limited time we have, if we're not doing what we love and we're just trying to do something to get by or to try to make something happen that we're not even sure we even want to do, I don't know. For me, it was a great time to reevaluate and decide, you know what, I could cut out at least 50% of what I had been spending my time doing.
Yeah, I definitely agree, you know. So we're not sure when things will go back to normal, you know. Yeah. And that's good.
Yeah.
That's good you're able to stay busy. You know, that's very good. So what's it like to be famous for you? I mean, to be, you know, famous, you know, because I see on YouTube, the series, you're like, you know, well, you're everywhere, you know. So is it like all can be, you know, being out there, being famous, you know, meeting different celebrities, you know?
Well, I don't really consider myself famous. I think there's a term for people who are recognizable now because of social media and different platforms like that, and they're called micro celebrities. So I'm not famous, but I might fall into the micro celebrity category. The only thing that's really changed in my life, besides a lot of people calling me for interviews, the only thing that's really changed is now I get recognized when I go out in public. And people want to take pictures with me. I just was picking up my son from daycare. He's now 3, and I had a mask on, but you know, I guess people still recognize me because of the eyes. So I had a mask on, but I still got recognized. And this girl, she just came up to me and she was like, "Oh my gosh," she must have been like 11. "Oh my gosh." And she just gave me this hug, this super tight hug. And she just was like freaking out and hugging me. And I thought, wow, you know what, something with the projects that I've been in has made a difference in her life, that it like made her day. And it's so beautiful to see happiness on people's faces that I never anticipated something like this happening, where I would be recognized when I go places. And even when I went on vacation last week. I was in Arizona, and then I went on vacation in June to Colorado, and pretty much every single day someone came up to me, wanted to take my picture, was thanking me for the projects I've been in. And it was interesting. My husband said to me, you know, for every one person that came up to you, there was probably several more who wanted to, but were too shy. And I was like, you think? And then I would get direct messages on Instagram saying, "I saw you at such and such," or "I saw you at the grocery store, but I was too shy to come up to you." And so it's really flattering.
Well, yeah, because like I said, you definitely changed my life. I was changed my life, so I wish I could give you a hug right now, you know. But you know, give you a hug on social on right now, you know. But, you know, social hug, you know. So you know, and, yeah. Okay, so I guess my next question is, where do you see yourself, you know, years from now? Still acting, maybe producing, directing, starring more films?
Well, years from now, I do see myself directing. I have produced some films. I could see myself producing and directing. I could still see myself acting, but not pursuing acting. So not trying to get, like, the first 20 years, I was gung-ho. I would eat, sleep, and breathe acting. Every opportunity, every networking event, everything I could submit myself to on all the different casting platforms that might be right for me, auditioning for every possible role. I kind of don't do that anymore. I'm happy with working on the Dhar Mann series and the few other acting jobs that come to me organically, where people recommend me or they see my work. But I haven't wanted to pursue acting anymore as much as I've been wanting to pursue. I'm an encouragement coach, so I have private clients that I help reach their goals. I'm also getting ready to launch my online course called You Are Worthy. So that is a course that teaches people how to see themselves and love themselves the way God does, so they have the courage and the confidence to go after their dreams. Because so many people aren't living the life of their dreams because they're insecure. They don't feel good about themselves. They don't think they're worthy. They don't think they deserve it. So they sabotage themselves, or they don't even try because they're afraid of rejection or afraid of what other people will say about them. So I wrote about this in my book, Poetic Prescriptions for Eternal Youth. But this is going to be like a 10-hour long course where I deep dive on how to get over that, so you feel so good about yourself and so confident that you can walk into any room, no matter who is in there, no matter how famous or rich they are, and you will feel like you deserve to be there and you belong as well. So I see myself doing public speaking on stages, inspiring people, directing movies, and writing books. I'm working on my 4th book right now. And I have a couple memoirs I want to write. I have self-help books I want to write. There's a lot I want to do that is not necessarily acting.
Wow. So what are you most excited? So what are you most excited about these days coming up?
Mm-hmm. What am I most excited about? Well, I'm excited to use the platform that I'm developing to be able to inspire others and to help others really know their worth and feel good about themselves. The I guess you could say what I'm most excited about is the course that I'm launching, because I remember how I used to be when I didn't love myself, when I didn't believe in myself. And I see how far I've grown and how far I've come. And I wouldn't be able to be doing half the stuff I'm doing now if I didn't start to believe in myself and believe in the unique creation God created me to be. And that I realized I was here made on purpose for a purpose, and that I was God's favorite creation, and that everything was available to me, but I didn't know it because I was too self-consumed and not loving myself. So I'm very excited to get that my You Are Worthy course message out there to the masses who need it, for the people who aren't feeling good about themselves. I think the world would be a different place if everyone could, with confidence, step up to the plate and do their heart's desires, do what makes them happy, do the gift that's burning inside them, and be able to go for it without worrying about what other people think of them.
Mm, That's very good advice. So what do you think we can do to change the world, to make the world better, in your opinion?
Well, I think one thing we can do to make the world a better place is to all be who we truly are, to be genuine, to when we love ourselves, it exudes into others. And I don't mean love ourselves like we're narcissistic, we're doing all these selfies with pouty lips and posing. I mean love ourselves enough to be good stewards over ourselves, to take care of ourselves, to love those around us. You and I were like extensions of each other. We're all part of the human race. To when we love God and we love ourselves and we love others, it's this circle where everyone is getting healed and everyone is getting made whole. And when we can put our gifts out into the world that help people, it really helps people realize they can also put their gifts out in the world. So many people are afraid to go after their dreams because they don't think they're going to be good enough, or they don't think their gift of speaking or their art or their music or whatever is going to help people or inspire people. But we each have our own tribe. We each have people that resonate with us, that we can inspire, that we can help. I may not have the same audience you have, and you may not have the same as me. So there's room for everybody, even people who go, well, there's already 600 people teaching on the topic I want to teach on, or I want to help people, or there's already 2 million people doing this, or it doesn't matter, because no one's going to do it like you do it. No one's going to have your unique style, your unique way of speaking, your sense of humor. So even if there's several hundred people already doing, I hear that a lot when people go, well, I don't want to write a book because there's already like 600 books on this topic, but they don't have your voice, and they're not going to say it the way you say it. And people, not everybody resonates with those people, but they might resonate with you because of what you've been through. People who go speak at different places, people who've been through addiction to drugs. If I go try to speak at one of those places, they're probably not going to want to hear from me because I've never been addicted to drugs. So we can even use our past that we think might disqualify us to actually be that stepping stone to open doors to get us in places. I may not be able to speak to a group of women who've all lost their children because I haven't lost a child. So what I'm saying, it's not just your gifts, it's also what you've been through that can open doors for you. For people have open hearts to hear you because they know you understand them.
That's very true. I definitely agree with you. So my next question is, how did the George Floyd incident affect you? Black Lives Matter. How did that affect you?
Well, I'm actually from Minnesota. where that happened. And I was actually in Minnesota visiting my parents when that happened.
Yeah.
The tension was very, very thick. And when I grew up in Minnesota, it was, the demographics have changed now. This is more than 20 years ago. It was 97% white when I lived there. So there was not, like, I was not exposed to a lot of racial diversity, especially in like a small town I lived in. Up in the big cities, yes, there was a lot of it. But for instance, the high school I went to, in my grade, there was only one Black person, and he was adopted and had white parents. And there was one Asian girl, and she was adopted and had white parents. And then I remember one summer, there was a Mexican family so there was a girl, Juanita, that came, and so that was the extent of the racial diversity in my school. So it was like nothing. So and then when I moved to California, it was completely different. It was it was a culture shock. It was completely opposite. So I was there at the time, and I was, right after this happened, we were flying back to California, and I just felt so deeply sad for the incident, and for all the people, for the tension on every side. For the people I cannot imagine what it's even like raising a child. I have 2 boys, and I know Black mothers oftentimes have to raise their child in a different way to, teach them specific lessons on what to do if the police come, or if the police pull you over, lessons that I don't have to teach my kids necessarily, because they might not be profiled in that kind of way. So I feel sad for it, and I don't necessarily know what to do except pray about it. But I do remember being at the airport, and I had my 2-year-old, and I'm holding him, and there was this Black gentleman, and he came up to me, and he was trying to play, I don't know, get my 2-year-old to laugh or do something. And I kind of wondered, is this his way of showing peace? I don't hate all white people, or, I don't, it was a nice gesture. The stranger came up to me, but my 2-year-old, he's like, and he's get stranger danger. And so, everybody's got something going on in their head. And so in my head, I'm going, oh no, my 2-year-old, he's turning away from the guy. And I'm thinking, is he going to think I'm raising my child to be racist because my child doesn't want to engage with him? And so I have this thing now, because of all this stuff happening, where I'm super conscious of, not wanting to have I don't know, it's this whole, we could get into this for a long time. But so I said to the guy, I said, you know what? He doesn't know you, and he's probably scared of your mask, because masks were fairly new at the time. And so the guy takes off his mask, and he tries to engage my 2-year-old again, and the 2-year-old still turns away. And I was like, oh no. I'm just thinking all these thoughts, oh, he must think I'm raising my child to be racist. We have all these thoughts in our mind that we don't even know how to act or how to be around people. And sometimes we overdo it, or we try to show that we're not, or it ends up being this whole big thing. And I don't know, what does that sound like to you if you were in that situation?
It sounds kind of funny, but in my opinion, I think maybe the guy's trying to say that he's not, that he's not what you think, that he is a good person. He wants, to try and show that we can all be respectful of each other, and
yeah,
that's what it sounds like to me. He's saying he's a good guy. I'm not a bad guy.
Yeah.
And that's what I would say about it.
Yeah, and it just you know what? It's made sometimes it's made interactions with other people like there's this tension, there's this unspoken thing. I don't know. Like, you're always wondering how the other person really feels. And in some ways, this is sort of off topic, but it's kind of adjacent. You know, this whole cancel culture thing that's become like wildly popular, where if you say something that's sexist or racist or this or that, they will cancel you or shut down your account. In some ways, I feel like that is actually worse than allowing people to speak their mind and their hatred, because at least before, you could tell if someone was a sexist, a racist, a this or that, because they were able to freely speak it. But now that they know they're getting canceled, they go under the radar. So now you have all this like secret seething hatred of what you don't even know now, because people aren't really allowed to speak their mind. So I much preferred it when there was like real freedom of speech and you could tell who the evil jerks were because they were allowed to be out in the open with it. Now with the cancel culture, they've gone under the radar, so you don't know who you're getting into partnership with or who you're working with who could secretly be, you know, racist or anything else. So kind of off topic, but it reminded me of that.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you told me the story, because, you know, people need to hear the story, you know. I think this is good that we can let people know, you know, that this has to stop, you know, because there's no reason for people to be racist towards you or me, you know. We can all live on earth, you know, in God's will, I guess, you know, peaceful and harmony, you know, peace and harmony. So there's no reason. So, you know, I think, so I'm glad you told me that story, you know, because it makes you think, you know.
Yeah, my older son's godfather is a black man. He's Jewish and he's a black man. And I remember one time I was over there taking him out. I was taking him out for his birthday, and his neighbor, super racist, and he just was always causing trouble. And we were at the movie theaters, and his daughter called, and she was really scared because the super racist neighbor, he I don't know if he put nails in their gate so she couldn't get out. And I think she was in her early 20s, or maybe she was late teens. So the godfather, Antoine, he's getting these texts while we're at the movies, and this racist guy had like nailed the gate shut so she couldn't get out, and he had like sprayed, I don't know what he sprayed, something flammable, and she was scared he was going to light the place on fire with her in it. So we left right away. We called the police, and the police, they weren't much help in this area, let me just say. And the guy, he was punching my windows and my windshield. We were in there with the windows rolled up. I was so scared. I was so scared of this guy. We at one point we got out of the car, and the guy punched my husband out, and he spit on Antoine. And honestly, the police came and they didn't really do anything about it. It was, I don't even know. I don't even have words for that. I don't even know how Antoine could live next to this guy, because I'm white and he was scaring me. Like, I was scared for my life. Like, he couldn't even stand you if you were friends with somebody black. So I don't know. I don't know how people do that. I don't know how people act like that. I don't know what is people's problems, except they're raised wrong, or they've listening to the devil himself to act like that.
I know, because it makes you think, what is wrong? This makes you think, I mean, what is wrong with people? You know, this is so sad, you know. Why do we do this to each other? You know, this is not acceptable, you know. I mean, spin on people, you know, I mean, this is crazy. I mean, well, it does me, you know, it makes you think, you know. So I'm black, you know, so I can be subject to that. So it makes you think. I mean, it's this is still going on, you know. I think that, you know, things have changed, but it's like they're still the same, you know. It's like almost makes my stomach head to see what's going on there, because, like, you know, wow, why is this world like this, you know? I was like, I'm a lost source myself, so I don't know what to say. It's like, I mean, it breaks my heart. It's sad, you know. So I can say, you know, that a couple won't even help you, you know. I mean, it's like a couple's one of them, you know. So, you know, and
Yeah.
makes you think, you know, I mean, what can we do to change this, you know? It's like, you know.
Yeah. And I think, you know, we can't change others. That's the sad thing. All we can do is do the best to be a vessel of love to everyone, and to none of us to prejudge somebody else. But, you know, their actions speak for themselves. So I've noticed in life, people are not what they believe. They are not even what they say or profess they believe. They are the sum total of their actions. So, you know, you can tell what's in a tea bag when it's put in hot water. So how can you tell who someone is really like? Is when you put them in a tense situation and then you see how they react.
Oh wow, I guess that's good to know, you know, because I've been subject since my whole life, you know, so I know how people. Well, I can sort of sense how people might feel about me, but I can sort of, you know, sort of sense how a person feels about, you know, because I know that, you know, from being a Black person, I've been, you know, exposed to this. So I can understand things I've been through myself, you know. So yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it's sad. Yeah. So okay. So I guess my question is, what you like to do when you're not filming? What you like to do for fun and travel? Yeah.
um, well, we just went on our a family vacation to Arizona, and travel, it depends on who I'm traveling with. When I went to Colorado with my husband in June, he likes to go explore and take pictures, and I like to have downtime. So we kind of have days where we're off doing stuff together and seeing the city and going for hikes and going, I don't know, out to dinner or whatever. And then there'll be days where I say, you go, I'm going to be in the hotel room and work on my writing. So what's rejuvenating for him is like getting out in nature and exploring places and going, you know, 4-wheel driving, you know, going off-roading. But what's relaxing and really invigorating for me is working on my writing. So, because I have, you know, with the 2 kids at home, sometimes it's hard to have quiet time to concentrate to be able to write. So the things that, you know, he would drive him nuts if we had to sit on the computer all day. But for me, it fills me up because I enjoy it. But as far as like activities, I like dancing. I like roller skating. What else do I do? I don't do all that much. I don't think. I don't have that much downtime. I am going on a cruise in September.
Oh, that sounds fun. Oh, that sounds fun. I mean, where are you cruising to?
This time to the Mexican Riviera. It's for my mom's birthday, so I thought I would take her on a cruise. I took her on a cruise a few years ago to Alaska, and she really enjoyed that. She had never been on a cruise before, and I surprised her. She did not even know we were going, and I orchestrated everything behind the scenes for her. And so, yeah, it was a lot of fun surprising her.
That sounds fun. Yeah. So have you been to Boston before?
No, I have not.
Yeah.
I've never been to New York. I've never really been anywhere on the East Coast.
Oh, well, hopefully you'll come someday. You know, beyond the meet you, I've come to Boston. You know, so.
Yeah, you never know where my travels will take me.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. So do you want to ask you some questions now? You want to interview me?
Oh, you should have warned me. I would have come up with a list of questions.
Yeah.
Well, I can try to think of some off the top of my head. So how long have you been doing radio show podcasts?
Well, I started this in 2018 at Boston Imprint Network, and I started behind the scenes as an intern I work on producer shows like setting up the camera, audio, microphone, making sign, and I just fell in love with it, you know. So I was like, wow, this is wonderful, and I got to meet some wonderful people. And then after I did that, I started working on my podcast. I learned about radio production, how to set up a radio, how how to interview, and yeah, so then I got certified. I got my own podcast, and it's been going good because I get to interview some stuff like Matthew Knowles, Destiny's Child, Shani Moore, Maya, Shanti. So yeah, so and so it was a blessing good to have a podcast and maybe to put myself as the actor, musician. Yes, and hopefully it'll take me far, like you. And I think that's what it's about. Just I'm also trying to be a role model for people and tell them that they can just be good and you can have a good life and go far and make sure you get your education. Because I graduated my college, so I think that's one of college education to fall back on. So.
And what do you feel like your life's purpose is?
I think that'll be to maybe I guess inspire people. Like my mom always said, God gives you a purpose, a gift. You should use it to help people. So I want to try and help people achieve their dreams of success. And so I try and bring onto my podcast. I can showcase the talent, show the world what these people can do to maybe change the world. And I think that if I can do that, maybe get my podcast syndicated, I can just be a good positive role model and help people as best as I can, because we all need help, So to try and achieve our goals and dreams, right? And so far, sometimes people don't want to help you, so I want to try and help people, so I can say that, if no one can help you, I'll help you, because I want to see you go far, live a good life, and be happy, because you only have one life. So my mom always said, make sure you live your life the way God wants you to, and help them, because when you bless somebody, God will bless you. So I want to try and bless myself and bless myself, So I think that's what I'm here for.
Can you give me an example of how you've done that to help inspire any particular person and how you did that?
Okay, let me think. I think I did that by like my producer Donald Poulon, as a musician, because he produces my music for me. So I brought him on to let him tell his story about what he's been through, and I've been able to maybe bring some of my friends on from being on the radio show and let them showcase their talent and tell their story so that the world can see what my friends and I can all do. So I guess to answer that question, I would say I think I did that by letting my friends come on my show. Maybe trying to help my family members come on my show if they want to, So I think that's so I would say I think that the big thing I did was help my friends and let them get some exposure so they can help other people too, So I think that's my best answer.
Okay, so by having them come on the show, they're able to, share what their gifts and their talents are and give advice to people. Is that kind of what you think made the difference?
I would say so, yes. Having on my show, they can tell the story, share their talents, their gifts, their acting, what they've been through, so they can showcase that on being it, and let them know that these people are here and they can help other people too. So I would say yes, like you said, yeah.
And tell me, what did you think may have been something that would be a deterrent for you, or something that other people might have said would stop you from success, but you were able to turn around and leverage it and use it to get ahead?
Well, okay, people always said I'll never make it, this far. And so I think I did that by going to college and get my associate degree, because some people would say, oh, you're not going to, amount to nothing. So I said, okay. So eventually I went to college, mostly community college, I got my associate degree. It was hard, but my cousins helped me, and I had tutors that helped me, so I was able to graduate this year. So, and then let's see, I started, I finally started interning at B&N, getting certified in production and film media, and now they see me as on TV. Well, they see me on YouTube on TV now, and so they say, well, okay, maybe he was serious because he's doing his thing. He graduated college, he's going to get his bachelor's degree now. I'm going to Emerson College in January to get my bachelor's degree in film media. So they'll see that I'm trying to go far and try and get my bachelor's degree, as well as produce my show, and so that's why I can have a good life. So I think so. Some people said that I'm gonna make it this far, but I'm trying to show them that I can make it. That I can make it, and just put God first, pray to God, um, just go with you, just listen to your heart, listen
Mm-hmm.
from one spirit, tell me what I should do, because you're so close. I try and follow perks and what I should do, and I think that she wants to go to school, so I'm gonna go to school and get a bachelor's degree, So I think that's the next step for me, and hopefully maybe I'll get to this for some movies, because some movies, or I don't know, but hopefully I'm hoping that my future is bright, So I think that going to school, get my bachelor's degree, I should hopefully have a bright future. So I think that's, yeah.
And what do you feel like is the number one way to get over obstacles? When you got something in your path that is stopping you from your goals, what's the number one way you use to get those obstacles out of your way so you can move past it?
Well, first I would say pray to God, and just don't let nobody tell you can't do it. Do not let nobody tell you no, because can't is not a vocabulary. You can do anything as long as you believe in God, and just go for it. Because like I said, people say I wouldn't go to college. I went to college. I got my associate degree. And now I'm going to get my bachelor's degree. So my advice would be just go with what you feel. Not let nobody stop you from doing what you want to do. Because I see how far you went. I mean, because you made it actually on TV working with diamonds. So the fact that you're able to go after your dreams, and not let nobody stop you, I know I can do that too, because that's what inspires me, because I see you on TV, so I know if you can do it, I can do it. So I try and
Mm-hmm.
just follow my heart, but mostly try and follow God, and just do what's right, stay out of trouble, do what you're supposed to do, and hopefully live life right, So I would say what keeps you going is by going forward, by saying going forward, next time it's good to actually someone do that, and not let nobody stop you from doing what you want to do, So that's what I would say.
Okay, last question. What do you wish you would have known 5 years ago?
Okay, well that's easy. I wish I would have known that my mother was going to pass away, because if I had known that she was going to pass away, I would have went to college right when I got out of high school. I went to college when I was 20, and then got my bachelor's degree, so I could maybe buy a house in Florida, so and be established.
Mm.
So if I had known 5 years ago that she was going to pass, I would have definitely did things. I would definitely did things differently. I would have made sure I went to college first. I was able to get my bachelor's degree, take care of my mother, buy a house in Florida, make sure she's well taken care of. So she took care of me, so I should be able to take care of her, So I wish I could go back in time and change the past, but I know I can't. I wish I could go back in time, and bring her back, and I would definitely have done things different. I would have went to college, I would have been tried to have been a better son, to her, maybe taking care of her better, because it makes you think, that if I had done that, these things might be different, So.
Mm-hmm. Maybe. And and is there any particular advice you would want to give to the people listening?
Oh yeah, I would say, don't, whatever you want to do, please go and do it. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do something. Put God first. Please go to college, go to a associate's college, or go to a community college, or go to some kind of school, get some kind of education, because you can't be successful without a college education. I realize that now, So.
Well, that's been disproven many times, so I'm going to have to not agree with you on that one. I did not go to college, and there's a lot of successful people who did not finish college. So lots of millionaires and even billionaires who did not finish college, who are very successful. So college isn't for everybody, but if it's in your heart and that's your path, then yes, go for it. But it's not for everybody.
I guess that's true. That's true, do you think you might ever go back to school at some point?
I have no desire to go to a formal institution for years just to get a piece of paper to prove that I'm qualified or worthy for something. No, that is definitely not my path. Maybe if I was doing something technical or legal, or I had to learn a certain thing. But the things that I'm called to do and the things that I'm compelled to do, you don't need a college education to write a book, to act in a movie, or to be a speaker. So, or to even make a movie. I know a lot of people do go to film college, but it's not a prerequisite. You don't need it to do what you want to do.
Yeah, I guess that's true, you know. But then again, if you get a college education, you could make more money, right? You know, I mean, you get more opportunity, I guess, you know, because that's the same.
If that appeals to you, sure. Yeah. There's a
Okay,
lot of cases where that's true.
okay, but because you're right, you seem to be doing better. Well, you seem to be doing great, you know, and you for the college because you didn't go to college, you seem to be doing good, you know, on YouTube, you know, TV, and it's like, you know, yeah, so, and I guess that is true, you know, college isn't for everybody, you know, but then, you know, I guess that's true, yeah. Yeah, yeah, okay,
Yeah.
so how can we find how can we find you on social media?
Oh, yes. Thank you for asking. On Instagram, it's Katherine Norland, and on YouTube, it's Katherine Norland. I put out 4 videos a week, and I go live every Sunday morning at 8 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If people want to ask me questions, I will answer them. Also, I can give your audience away a free book. I'm giving this book away to anyone who wants it. Just go to poeticprescriptions.com/free book. That's poeticprescriptions.com/free book, and they can all get a free copy of this one to download. This is my life story, kind of a memoir about how I went from self-hate to self-love by finding out what God had to say about me.
Okay, that's wonderful. I can't wait to check that out, you know. Okay, so I guess my last question for you is if you could be in the world, what would you be and why? If you could be in the whole world, what would you want to be and why would you want to be there?
If I could be anyone, is that what you said?
If you could be anything in the world, anything in the whole world, what would you want to be and why?
Oh, if I could be anything. I think I would just want to be, I would want to discover fully, completely who God intends for me to be and to become that person. I don't want to be anybody else. I just want to be the version of myself that's the best version of myself. And I don't think I know what that is yet. I don't think I know what that looks like. I strive for it. I try to be mindful of, you know, am I being generous or am I being selfish? I try to keep what would God do in the forefront of my mind so that I can become that person. I guess if I could be anyone, I would want to be a disciple of the living God that would carry out his good news everywhere I went.
Yeah, that definitely sounds inspiring, you know, inspiring to me, you know, because I definitely, yeah, because that's definitely something that I might want to be myself, you know, because what they do, you know. So yeah, and yeah, well, this is such an honor to meet you. Do you have any more questions you want to ask me before we go? Any more questions you want to ask me before we leave?
I think I asked them all.
Well, this is such a blessed interview, you know. I mean, to meet you. I just wish we could have met, you know, in person, but so just to talk to you virtually was a blessing, you know. I mean, you really said some things to me I needed to hear, and I'm glad we had this time to talk, you know. I learned more about you and your career as an actress, you know, because yeah, and hopefully I'll be able to meet them. Hopefully I'll be able to meet them myself one day, you know, because he's like a down to earth person to be around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, you know, yeah, and if he wants to come on my show for interview, he's welcome to, you know, or the cast of Dhar Mann, the cast, they want to come on my show, you know, I'd love to have him on my show, you know. So anytime.
Okay. All right. Thanks for having me.
I'd love to talk to you soon. Thank you again. I'll send the interview tonight, okay? I appreciate your time, you know. Bye, Catherine.
Thank you. Bye.